let's see here. All right, I'll wait a minute or two. If anybody's watching, please let me know in the comments if possible. If not, you know, actually at this point, I'm just going to get started. Let's open this up. All right, so something that I've been noticing from the last couple of weeks is we are now on like our third video, and I've only on my third phrase. And there are a lot of phrases that I need to test out. So one thing I'm toying with the idea of is just speeding through this process off screen. Since I've already shown myself develop like 2 or 3 phrases at this point. I thought the basic idea is there. So maybe, I don't know. If people don't want me to, let me know and I will. I won't, but yeah, for now I'm just thinking about, I'll just speed through the normal stuff, write a bunch of phrases on my own so that the next week's video I can jump right in and start about developing entire themes based off my favorite phrases. But with that, all right, so don't look like I have anybody in the chat yet, but let's just get started. All right, here we are. So this is the phrase that we were working on last week. We got through 1.5 phrases last week. Let's refresh my memory real quick and give it a play. All right, so that's pretty decent. So it sounds like it's like a short idea, so a fragmented melody, which is interesting. We've mostly been working with lyrical melodies so far. But a short idea, space, short idea, space, short idea. Let's see what chords we're working with. We've got the E major, then we've got the G major, then we've got a B major, then we have a D major, then going to an A major. So it looks like it's mostly tertiary movement, but this last one is not tertiary. Let's see here. E to C sharp to E, probably because if we had continued with tertiary movement, we would have gotten an F sharp major, which does not have a C, which does have a C sharp, but definitely not an E in. Let's see here. All right, so mostly tertiary movement. This last chord is not tertiary movement. This one moves from D major to to A major, which is a perfect fifth. 2 triads move separated by a perfect fifth. It's a very heroic sound. So let's see here. So we've got some fragmented ideas here. All right, so the first thing that comes to mind right here, I know I had said in the previous week, I think that we were trying to fill in some space here. But honestly, I think a fragmented melody works pretty well. To me, when I think of heroic but fragmented melodies, I think of a lot of rhythmic action in the background. So whether that's drums or a bunch of string ostinatos, what have you. I'm thinking that one might work here. We're just doing a bare bones melody and chord sketch at the moment, so that wouldn't really translate well, but I think I'm still going to keep that idea. In which case, we'll just stick with what we've got here and just round it out with some chords. So we have an A major chord. Over here, let's see what we need. So our strongest chords, let's go to just quarter notes right now. We've got an E. The B is definitely the longest. So let's see here. We could definitely do an E major. And E major is actually what we started with, though, isn't it? E major, so I'd rather get, you know, maybe we can just end on it. We'll see how it sounds. Normally, I'd like to end at the tonic near the end. But then if we have E major, tertiary movement would take us to G major, but that wouldn't work too well because we've got a G sharp here. So actually, but no, because an E major, I was thinking maybe an E major here at the end because E major has G sharp. But the F sharp wouldn't really work in there. Let's give this a try though. All right, so yeah, the E major works there. Let's try, you know what, E major, what if we tried, no, there's no need to try and do a G sharp chord there. So now we need to try and bridge these together. So we have an A major, moving to an E major. Easy enough, we can just throw in a C sharp major and keep it with tertiary movement. So all tertiary movement, so C sharp major is gonna have to have a E sharp, which is technically an N harmonic F, and then that G sharp. All right, so now we have an E major. Now how do I get a chord with an F sharp and a G sharp? That is pretty tricky. My first thought is going to be doing a G sharp major with a, so G sharp major dominant 7 would have both of them in it. So you know what, why not? It's a tertiary chord, so it moves in tertiary movement. Let's do it. So G sharp major. So that B needs to go to a C. It would technically be a B sharp, but that's an harmonic equivalent of a C. Then we need a D sharp, and then we would need an F sharp. Let's give this whole thing a listen. How's it going, Isaac? There we go. Good to see that people actually can hear me. That I'm not just talking to myself. Good. Excellent. All right, so this is definitely a question phrase. It doesn't sound complete at the end, but something that's giving me an idea. I want to hear what it sounds like with arpeggios. Let's do this. Because just to get a little bit of that rhythmic identity in there, to give it a bit more. Because if I plan on this being a rhythmic idea, and we'll bring that down. Let's see how here. So we go 1 2 3 1 2 1 2. A nice pattern to randomly go with. Let's see here. Don't know if I'm liking that sound just yet, but we'll see. We'll see. Because I don't think it sounds fast enough, oddly enough. Let's give this a sound. Listen. Nah, not caring for the arpeggios. That's all right. One last thing though, because I do know this is going to be a rhythmic piece. This idea, if I were to go with it, would be very rhythmic in nature. So what if I just go with some comping chords? And let's see, we'll add some accents here by increasing the velocity, just to mark out where the pulse is. Okay, yeah, I kind of like that. I like that. We'll stick with this. Just cut this into a bunch of tiny little chords. Okay, so when a chord is repeated rhythmically like this, it's called comping. This is a very common strategy for piano. It's a common strategy for the strings. Trumpets do it a lot too. Just not constantly. Trumpets will typically be used more for a accenting a particular rhythmic idea at a given moment, and not just repeated steadily like this. If it's repeated steadily like this, it's typically most of the time you're going to find this kind of performance being done in the strings or keyboard. Let me see here. It's just a little tedious. But then if you're working with a DAW, a lot of the work you're going to do is going to end up being tedious at some point. So you might as well just get used to it. Kind of accept it. Make your peace with it. Let's give this a listen to real quick. There we go. All right, I think that's a decent idea. It's simple enough, especially if we get the strings in there, we could get some ostinati in there. I think this would be, this is definitely one of those ideas where you can't hear its full potential on piano alone. So let's move on to the next one. Let's see here. I wonder how many of these I can take care of in this video. Ah, thank you, Mark. Thank you, Mark. Mark says that you can hear me. Perfect. All right. Nice to have you on the chat, Mark. Let's see here. Let's listen to this idea. What was this? All right, sounds good. So let's get familiar with the idea. You know, let's take a bit more of a systematic approach here. All right, so I don't know if any of you have seen my video on the Prevade method for developing motifs, but since these videos have been taking quite a while, I've been going a bit slower than I'd like. Let's try adding a bit more systemic approach, a more systemic approach here. So we've got the first use of the motif. The next, so that's presenting the idea. In the Prevade, you present the idea and then you repeat the idea with some slight variation if you'd like. Let's give this, let's hear what this sounds like first. So let's see here. Let's bring this up to, well, first let's bring this B to a C. Well, first let's see here. We have E minor to G major. Ooh, that's a much more dramatic sound. All right, so we're still technically tertian. Although technically these could both belong to the same key. These are both chords found in C major. So, you know what? Let's actually do that. E minor, G major, go to C major. I like that. And we won't worry about proper voice leading. All right, let's see here. This down. So then, yeah, and here we could just keep most of these first couple phrases, first couple notes completely the same. Just move that B up to a C. I am going to make these chords a bit louder because I feel like they should be more dramatic for this one. Sorry about that. I thought I had muted my phone. Let me take care of that right now. All right, so let's see here. I like that, but let's move this up real quick. So we go E minor, G major, C major. So then what would be a fun one to go from there? That's a good one. So that would be a C major to A major. The A major does not belong in the same key. A major is technically the 6th chord. And a 6th chord that is made major. I'm trying to remember which parallel key that would come from. There's a couple different ones that could come from. But either way, I like the feeling of it. Technically that's a C major to an A major. So that's a two major triads separated by a major third. A very heroic kind of feel to it. A very heroic sounding CR. And technically we're moving up. Oops, my keyboard is too small to go from there. See, let's raise it up. So the roots are moving Instead of a major third, we're moving up a minor 6. But these CRs are both twins, meaning they have a very similar sound even when reversed. So let's just do C major. We'll do so then one way we can do it is bring the B up to a C sharp. Let's give this a sound. C sharp, let's bring that up. So basically, for that one, I had made the mistake that I was ending on a non-chordal tone. The G is the final note in this measure, so it's going to have, and it has movements moving into it. So there are 2 notes moving by leap. So that's got to be very strong. A strong note that they're leading into, that's a lot of momentum carrying into it. And going into a non-chordal tone just doesn't work for me. I don't like the sound it creates. So I'm going to create that so that last movement is by step. So C sharp to B, that's step. B to A is step again. A nice solid sound, and it's a chordal tone, so it fits for this. One more time. There we go. All right, so it's working. It's working. We've got a nice 4-chord progression. We've got a nice motif. So now what we do next in the prevade method is we presented the initial motif. We repeated the initial motif with some slight variation. And our next step is to add stronger variation. All right, so to repeat the idea, but this time we're going to have it be less recognizable. We're going to be a bit more extreme. So right off the bat, what I'm thinking is retrograde. Retrograde is a good one. So retrograde, there's no easy way to do this, is the concept of playing the entire thing backwards. So we're going to do this. It has a very similar contour. It gives a big sense of variation while still feeling subconsciously related to the original idea. So let's just start out and see how this works for us. I kind of like that. So now we've done retrograde. I think the retrograde does work, but I do want to shift things up just a little bit. I like the idea of the G to B. Let's bring this up to C though. So what we're doing here is something called inversion. It's a partial inversion because, let's see here. So if I were to go up, that's quite high. But let's do G, B to D. So an inversion is when you flip the contour. Contour is the general ups and downs in the melody. So here the melody was going down, so I inverted it, meaning that where it previously went down, it now goes up. It's not an exact inversion. If it was an exact inversion, I would use the same notes, just moving in the opposite direction to achieve them. So instead of going down from G to E, I would go up from G to E. I looked at that. I did not like the way how large of a leap it formed with this B over here. That would have been a massive, massive leap. The massive range for this melody, and I don't like working with huge ranges for my melodies. So let's give this a quick listen to and just see how it sounds. All right, there we go. So the prevade method is working well for us. Present, repeat with slight variation, stronger variation. Now it's time to deconstruct, but first let's figure out some chords. So our chord progression goes E minor, G major, then we've got the C major, then we've got the A major. Let's try the E minor again. Would the E minor work? It should work. Because over here, what we've got, if you remember from the harmonizing video, the last series from the harmony video, last video of the harmony series, we want to look at the longest and the strongest notes. So we don't have a downbeat. And depending on how we want to work with it, 7/8 time can be split into multiple different pulses. So right now, the strong beats aren't giving us much, but the G and the B are both the longest notes in the measure, which means that they are more important than the A, especially since the A is smack dab between them and acting more as a passing tone, as a means to get from the G to the B, which means G and B are both important, so we want a chord that contains both G and B. We could either go with an E minor or a G major. For the sake of continuity, I think let's go with the E minor and make this more of like a 4-bar phrase chord progression. Because look over here, G gets repeated the most, B is also present, and G is longer than both the B and the D, so G is going to be important, so why not continue the previous chord progression and just add a G major. Let's listen to this real quick. All right, I mean, it works, but I'm not too fancy. Let's see what else we can come up with. Hey, welcome to the chat, Vivek. Nice to see you. I hope I pronounced your name right. I'm sorry if I didn't. Let's see here. That's another thing. If you guys have any questions, you're all being uncharacteristically quiet this week. So if you got any questions, anything you're interested in talking about, any suggestions, feel free to just shoot them out. All right. You know how. By now you should all know how this works. A nice just chance for us to chat and have a conversation. All right. So G and B here are most important. So what if I went with a C major 7? Let's give it a try. Just add a C down there. No, did not like that. But I am also not in love with this sound here. So what happens if we just moved the G major up? I do like that more. So it's the G major. So now we've got another G, B, and so G and D. So this right here is screaming G major to me. But we just used G major. Wait, which notes were important here? No, yeah, the G and the B. I was thinking maybe if we did a suspended chord. You know what, let's just give the whole thing a listen to real quick, see if it inspires anything. I get it, Vivek. Vivek says that long day at work, just here to enjoy the video. Well, I'm glad I can help. All right, I'm glad I can help. All right, so this G major works. So we went from A major. Then we moved to G major. Now, what if we did? What if we continued to move up? So we have a G, B, and D. You know what? What if we just did an E minor? You know what? And I do like this. Instead of doing a complete retrograde, though, let's do a little rhythmic transformation here. Swap those two notes around. Don't know if I like that as much. But let's just give it a whole listen again. And what if I just did da, 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 just cut it into 3 eighth notes? No, what if I just removed that? I do like that. I do like that. That works better. All right, so now the last phrase of prevade, since we're using the prevade method, we presented the initial idea here. Then we repeated it with some slight, very minimal variation. Then we repeated it again, this time with stronger variation. In particular, we used a combination of retrograde inversion and rhythmic transformation to shift this. Now, if you aren't familiar with those terms, don't worry. I actually just finished writing the script for the melody series. It'll be video number 2 in the melody series. First video dropping next week. Talking about different strategies that are commonly used to add variation to motifs to help them develop. I'm actually quite excited about the melody series. We're going to start out with a video dedicated to motifs, then a video about developing motifs, then from there organizing them into entire phrases. And then from there, we'll start discussing about larger forms for music, like how to organize it into binary form, simple versus rounded binary, ternary form. Just a couple basic techniques and structures that are common in musical, like organizing your musical ideas. And then after that, it's just gonna be like 4 or 5 videos dedicated to different approaches to writing music, melodies. It'll be like rhythm first, or chords first, or intervals first, or just a couple different like strategies. So I am excited for the melody series. I think it's gonna be a good one. All right, let's see. Oh, we got a suggestion. Sapir Audi 1490 says go A4, F sharp 5, then B5. Let's give it a try. So A4. I'm assuming we're gonna keep with the things A sharp, F sharp 5. Oops. And then B5. So that would be. I'm trying to remember if Cubase. No, yeah, Cubase follows the reset at 5. So that is a good one. Let's see here. I'm not sure. Well, let's try dropping that an octave. So I'm not looking at rhythm too much at the moment right now because we could come up with a rhythm. I'm looking at the intervals. So either we'd have to do it from here, in which case that is a massive leap. That is a, I don't think my keyboard is big enough to do that leap. No, it is not. So yeah, I couldn't do that leap. Or we'd have to go up here where the leap is significantly smaller, but that difference, that is a 2-octave range for the melody, which makes it very difficult for it to be singable. So what if we tried shaping it like that? That still gives us slightly more than an octave that we're working with. From D to B, that's still a bit more than I typically like to work with. But let's give this whole thing a listen to. Let's see. What's that? Let's see. Let's see here. Let's listen to that. That might work. Let's see here. Yes, Mark. Okay, so Vivek says, will you also be doing a series on integrating melody and harmony? Yeah, let's see. We'll see. We'll see. Because right now I've already got one video on writing, like selecting the proper harmonies for your melody. That was the last video of the harmony series. And there will be a video or two in the melody series about how to take a chord progression and write a melody from those chords. But I don't know if I'll do an entire series dedicated to that topic. It'd be intriguing. It's definitely a challenge to consider doing something like that. But we'll see. I'm not sure if there'd be enough material. Right now, the idea is to finish. Now that the harmony series is done, I want to do a melody series. And then with the melody series, after the melody series, I want to revisit orchestration. Because, you know, it's been about like a year since I started the last orchestration series. I've learned some new things, and just being honest, the original orchestration series, the audio quality is not the best. It's super quiet. So I'd like to redo that and take a nice new approach to it. Even though the original videos are still really good, I think, in my own humble opinion. But yeah, so other than that, there's some other projects I want to sneak in. So like when I announce my book, when my book is finally ready and up for sale, I'll be launching that with the new website. And so I want to do some special series based off topics and information from the book itself. And those will probably be released on Mondays. Mark, looking forward to the material on forums. Yes, I'm excited to share that. That will be, like I said, I think it's like the 4th, 5th, and 6th videos in the Melody series. So it's only a couple of weeks before those will be released. But it helps make a lot more sense. And we'll discuss form a little bit once I've figured out these thematic phrases. But let's see. Nice to see you, Beer. Beer says hi. Let's see here. So let's wrap this phrase up first, because we're on a roll. This is, I think, like the fastest phrase we've written for these live composing videos. All right, so we'll stick with this ending. A to F. So the previous chord is an E minor. So A to F, was it F or F sharp? F sharp. So that tells me D major. We'll see how D major works. D major has both F sharp and A. And since these are straight Bs, let's do that. Let's go back to the first chord, and we will use what's called a suspension. So a suspension chord is when you take the third of the chord and you get rid of it. What you do is you replace it with either the fourth, which gives you a suspend 4, or a sus 4 chord. So we get rid of the A, or we get rid of the G. So we have that perfect fifth between the E and the B, and then we replace the G with an A. And then you can resolve back down to the G, or you could replace it with the 2. These are very common, especially in like hymnal music. If you're a fan of Death Note, these kinds of chords were used a lot. Okay. This kind of that movement offers a nice strong cadence. So let's see how that sounds. Let's actually lengthen that so that they're not changing. All right, fair enough. I might change those rhythms down the line, but for now, I think this phrase is what we will call good enough. Let's see. Let's remove that. All right, good enough. So right now we have 4 phrases complete. So we've only got 1 left, it looks like, to develop. Let's listen to all of them real quick so far to see what we got. First impressions. I am going to make this smaller so I can see it all. Let's give this first one a listen. Alright, that one sounds a little like Marvelesque. I'm trying to remember whose theme that reminds me of. This one's given me definitely Captain Marvel vibes. Maybe because of that minor 7th interval. right, all right. You know what? Maybe I'm just being biased because it's the most recent one I've written, but I'm liking this last one the most so far. Ah, thank you. Nam says sus4 sounds really good. Yes, it's a really, really fun chord to play with. Ah, that actually was not a sus4. It was it? Yeah, it was. I love sus chords. They're just so much fun to play around with. Let's see here. So yeah, I'm liking this one. I'm feeling it's because it's got that E minor to G major. I find that a little more endearing for a character theme than just the straight E major to G major. I mean, don't get me wrong, E major to G major works well for the heroic idea, but for these particular characters, I realize at this point that the music is nothing like I had originally planned. But what can you do when you're only working on it once a week for like an hour across like, what was this, week 10? Some things are going to fall through the cracks. But I do think that the melancholic feel of this, the darker tones of the higher use of minor triads just fits better with the character descriptions, I think. They don't typically have a lot of for these characters, they don't sound like the happy-go-lucky All Might from My Hero Academia, always gonna save the day, purest of pure kind of thing. They have a lot more of the typical traditional like anti-hero feel that lots of D&D characters have, and I just find like the type of the syncopation being used here and the darker tone colors just fit it better. But we'll see. We shall see. There is one left. One left to develop into a phrase. Which is awesome. I didn't realize that we were so close to finishing this phase already. That makes me feel a lot better. I was worried that I was going to have to like come in between videos and just like be honest with you guys. I'm like, yeah, I just went and developed all this stuff on my own because we were moving too slow. I do want to get these pieces done so that Declan can use them for his D&D sessions. But yeah, I think once a lot of the work, especially at the beginning of these pieces, comes it's front heavy. You've got to get all the structure figured out. Orchestration, oddly enough, for me, is a lot easier than writing and sketching out the piece. I do a lot of work on the front hand for that. Oh wow, getting lots of comments. So rhythmically, yes, I do like the rhythm of that last one. It's very good. The syncopation, I'm a sucker for a good amount of syncopation. I find that it gives a lot of character to a piece. Okay, Vivek, I've always had trouble knowing when to use sus chords. My mind always defaults to major and minor chords and rarely does it ever deviate from that. Honestly, I mean, that's not necessarily your fault. A lot of Western music, assuming that you listen mostly to Western music, focuses on triads. All right? And sus chords, they're not as common. So you have to really kind of be going for the feel of. There's a piece I wrote a couple of years ago when I just started writing where it used a lot of sus chords in inversions. And it went something like that. That's a lot of sus chords. And so really the only way that you're going to get used to using them is to just be deliberate and say, I want to use sus chords, or like I want to make use of it. I know when I was doing the Ghibli series, I noticed that Joe Hisaishi uses a lot of sus chords on his pieces, and so that was part of the template that I eventually created for it. Was just when you're thinking about what kind of musical language you're working with the piece, it's something that you can do. And that's actually something that my book tackles a lot. The primary purpose of the book isn't necessarily like a music theory textbook, more about planning your pieces ahead of time and how to really get to know your characters, how to really get to know the story world, and how to truly understand and kind of experience the emotion that you're trying to portray with your music. And once you've gotten on that level of understanding for what you're trying to portray, then going through and deciding, all right, what's your sound palette going to be like? What sounds are you going to use to create it? So if you think about like with painting, you don't just start painting right away. You don't just start slapping everything, whatever looks good, and having to open new paint bottles. You have a palette with different colors available to you on there. And when you're painting, whatever you're working on for that day has to be limited to those colors. Otherwise, you're going to have a hard time. It's a lot with the music, very same with, or similar with music. Before you go into writing a piece, you want to understand what it is you're trying to portray, what you're trying to achieve with that music. And what colors are you going to have available to you? Are you going to work with just triads? Are you going to add sevenths? Are you going to add ninths to the picture? What about suspended chords? It's got all kinds of things. Are you going to use diminished chords? Let's go lower so you can hear that bit better. Ooh, that's too low. All right, did my keyboard just get quiet? Or did I about my headphones? Yeah, is it just me? Okay, are you guys hearing the same volume, or did I just lose a lot of volume on this? There we go. Yeah, I don't know why. It just suddenly came back to me. I need to upgrade this computer desperately. All right. Where was I? I completely lost my train of thought. But yeah, that's right. So the palette. So the idea is before you start writing your music, you decide ahead of time, what is it do you want to work with? What tools do you want to have available to you? And so that's what the book is about, is figuring basically what your palette is going to be. What are you working with when you're writing a theme before you even start writing it? And you'll find that during the process of figuring out what tools, what colors you're going to use, a lot of the structure, a lot of the image of how they're going to be used and what it's going to sound like will start to unfold naturally. So yeah, that's something that I've been focusing on years for developing. Because I remember when I first got into composing, a big issue I heard with lots of people was writer's block. And how you run into, how it's so easy to run into issues where you just don't know what to write or what you need to write, and you just bang your head against the keyboard desperately thinking, I can't do this, I can't do this, I can't do this. And I wanted to make sure that when I developed my skill set, I found tools to combat that. So the book is basically just a culmination of some of the most effective and efficient tools I have designed and developed with the help of at least one other friend. And yeah, I'm excited to share it. Wow, we're getting lots of comments here. All right, so let's see. As a beginning composer, yes. So now I'm saying it's the same issues with the suspended chords. So hopefully that helped. Vivek, I've already decided to buy your book. Hopefully not too expensive. Also hope it COVID doesn't get in the way of delivering today. Thank you. I really appreciate it. So the first version of the book I think is going to be about like $25. It's going to be an ebook, just because getting it printed off is going to be super expensive. The second edition, because I do plan on taking feedback and figuring out what else you guys want to see included in it. I will also offer an audiobook version, just because I've learned so much from audiobooks that I'm just going to record myself reading it and have that as an option as well. I'm excited. I'm excited. Thank you. I hope it's worth it. I do want to build this into something a bit larger. So the first book is going to be on the relatively short. I think it's like 70 pages. But crammed with a lot. It's a good 70 pages. All right. I mean, at the risk of sounding super full of myself and too cocky, I don't want to sound like a jerk or something, or like I'm too self-confident. But if someone else had written this book, I would buy it. I really would. I learned a lot while writing it because it helped me to flesh out a lot of my ideas. I find that having to teach things helps me to have a stronger grasp, a stronger understanding of what it is I'm trying to get across. So I don't know. We'll see. I will be posting a lot of the material free on the YouTube channel. It'll take some time, but I'm going to do videos on different topics from within the books. And so yeah, we'll see. I'm super excited to share it with you guys. I really, really am. Right now it's getting edited, so hopefully it'll be out soon. Thanks. Thank you, man. You're a nice guy, and it's very motivational. Thank you very much. I'm glad. I'm glad that I'm able to help, and I'm glad you think I'm a nice guy. I do. So it really is something else being on here and helping you guys out and just being able to share just being able to share the stuff I've learned. I don't have a lot of people in my circle who are super hardcore music geeks. I've got one friend who's a super hardcore musician, or he was, but he burned out pretty hard. He actually is the one that helped me write he helped me design one of the tools in the book about dissecting emotion and learning how to write music for it. He and I went to grad school together when I was trying to be a therapist. He actually is a therapist, but he's a real adult. He's got a real job. Oh, I shouldn't say that. There's no such thing as a fake job. But no, he's a therapist, and we don't get to talk about music as often as I'd like. But it's all of this to say I really, really enjoy having this community with you guys, being able to talk with you, being able to geek out about things I'm passionate about, and being able to help a lot of you guys who are just as passionate about it and learn about different things that are giving you trouble, or just develop along your own journeys as being composers. Yes, Vivek says same thing. Not too many people in the circle is passionate about music, so yeah, it can be very difficult. All right, so I'm starting to get some feedback on developing the melody. That's right, I've just been staring at this screen for a while. Yes, we are not here to hear me self-promote my books or talk about myself. Let's get back. This is the last phrase. Let's hear it. All right, yes, I am excited about this. Oop, keyboard's too high. E minor to G major. I love that E minor to G major. It's just a beautiful CR. So let's follow the prevaid method again. So we establish the motif once. Next step is to repeat it with some slight variations. So let's give it a listen to. So last time we manipulated the first notes, but here I'm thinking, let's move up on the second half. I'm sorry, that's my dog you're probably hearing barking. I don't know what she's freaking out about, but she's freaking out about something. Let's see here. Let's try reaching these up a bit. Let's see here. Instead of an A, let's bring this down to an F sharp, so it's still a chord. So we're going E minor, G major, to F sharp major. Ooh, is that an F sharp minor? F sharp minor. I like that. I like that a lot. I don't know why, I just do. And oftentimes that's the only explanation you need. And anyone else who says otherwise, you can say, well, you have your opinion, I have mine. Or you can be ruder if you'd like. Let's see here. Let's do the A up here. C sharp down there. Although, D to G, no, that's a perfect fourth, so it doesn't matter that it's parallel. I try to avoid parallel fifths. Let's see here. I kind of like that idea of switching up that second half, so. What if we did a G sharp? Let's listen to this. So then, let's see here. E to G sharp tells me G major, because these are both the longest notes in the measure. All right, again, 7/8, it can be a bit trickier to find out what beats are the strongest, but none of these are on strong beats. The one thing we can be sure about is the downbeat will always be strong. None is on the strong downbeat. So we'll look at how these two notes are both related. So this tells me either E major or C sharp minor. which I actually think I'm going to go with that one, because that one has a common tone over here. Let's just do that. So let's see. G sharp. Bring this down to an E. This down to a G sharp. I don't know why I was moving up. Let's give this a listen. All right, so now we have repeated it. We have presented the idea. We have repeated the idea with some slight variation. This one was a bit more extreme than the previous one. We changed some more. So we sequenced it, which means we moved it up or down, and we did not sequence it chromatically. We sequenced it so that it was not an exact sequence. Some intervals changed. So here we have 2, 3, 4. We have a major third here. 1, 2, 3, 4. Then we have another major third, but instead of going from B to E, which is a perfect fourth, we went to C sharp to F, which is, oh, well, look at that. That is a perfect sequence. We literally just took the entire thing and moved it up a major second. There we go. All right. So the big variation came from sequencing it exactly, so everything moved in the same amount. And then we flipped this contour a little bit. We, instead of going up, we went down, then up. All right. So now the next thing we're going to do is do a much stronger variation in keeping with the Prevade method. Because again, having a little extra structure here is helpful. So we have I'm thinking well, first let's copy and paste this so we have the same basic idea. Let's bring this up to a day. Then we'll bring this down. Maybe a major third to an A to an F. No, not liking that idea. So let's go through some different strategies we can use for variation. Right, retrograde, which is you flip the idea backwards. Inversion, where you flip it upside down. There's permutation, where we reorganize everything. We have, let's see, what else is there? We could augment or diminute the intervals, which is, well, technically it'd be expanding or contrasting, or not, no, expanding or reducing, which would be making larger or smaller intervals between the two. We could do rhythmic variation, where we switch the variations. There's lots of stuff we could do here. Let's see, but we want a stronger variation. Let's actually take a look at the chords real quick, see how the chords could possibly influence us. So we go from E minor to G major to F sharp minor to C sharp minor. Let's try doing a chord progression. So we go from E minor to G major. So let's do a B minor next, then a D major. So we'll stick to tertiary harmony for this next one. Let's see how these chords are going to sound. Oops, that's G sharp to A. I think that can work. We might. I'm not in love with it, but it could work. Nam sans nam. It kind of sounds like Darth Vader's theme for Star Wars, where the thing repeats with small variations. Yes, exactly. This is a very common strategy. In fact, in the melody series, we'll discuss how variation and repetition are the keys to writing a strong melody and finding that balance. You need to take ideas and repeat them just enough that they can be established as a form or a structure behind the music that gives it its identity, but you need to have the right amount of variation to keep things from getting boring. That's why the Prevade method is such a fantastic starting point for that. You present the idea, repeat it with some slight variation, repeat it again with stronger variation, and then deconstruct it. Maybe go C sharp, F sharp, and B into A sharp for the last one. Huh. Are you talking about the melody, Sapir, or are you talking about the harmony? Harmony, excellent. Let's give it a try. All right, so we've got C sharp, F sharp, B, and A sharp. So let's try this. So C sharp, I'm going to assume you're talking C sharp major to give a slight shift from C sharp minor to C sharp major. Which is a very common approach to do. And then C sharp major to F sharp major. Let's do that. F sharp major should be A. And then B. Let's do B major, because why not? And then A sharp. Let's try this. A sharp, that is an interesting chord choice here. Let's go with A sharp minor. Let's give this a listen to. You know what? I kind of like that. What I am going to do, though, is I'm going to switch this into two chords. Into like just increasing the harmonic rhythm for that word. I'm going to move these over. I like the C major, or the F sharp major, to B major. And then I am going to do a, what was it? Let's do another C sharp major. You know what? No, let's see here. Let's do a G major. Then we'll do an E minor to bring it back full circle. And that's why I'm just kind of experimenting with different chords. The general idea behind this is that we move into a G major. It has a common tone with that B major. And then G major has a lot of momentum into. So the B major here works as the fifth. All right, so B major wants to resolve to E minor. But instead of resolving to E minor, we resolve to G major. In which case, after that, we go to E minor. Let's do an E major, actually. That sounds a bit better. Let's give this a quick listen to. I kind of like that. I'm not sure how I'm going to make it work, but I like it. I don't think I'm going to stick with that little increase. I think I'll just get rid of the C sharp major. Stick to one chord per measure. Let's reduce the velocity here a bit so it's a bit more uniform. So let's see here. What are we going to make a difference here with these new chords? First, let's see. Let's do an F sharp. Then we'll jump up to an A sharp. Then we'll bring these down. Let's meld these for no other reason but that I just suddenly felt like it. Don't like that. Let's try the opposite. I don't like going down, so let's move up. Or I don't like going down in that instance. I should say I don't like going down completely, because that's just not true. I can enjoy moving up or down in my melodies. Let's see here. Let's cut this up, get a little more momentum moving. And now let's see, where are we going to end up? Let's see, we've got a G, B, and D. Let's go to B. Let's move up. All right, that might work. We'll see. Let's give it a listen to real quick. Let's see here. Let's give this a listen to. Here. I don't know, that ending's giving me some trouble. It's coming way too soon, that's why. Let's see here. Let's see. Let's see here. Let's try going in reverse. 1, 2, 3. Then we'll come down. Let's go there. Sorry, I'm starting to get quiet a little bit. You know what? Let's do something called fragmenting for that great. For the high level of variation. Fragmenting is when you break down a motif into smaller segments and you just repeat one or more of the segments. So here the first segment is dun 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 dun. So here I like the. Let's do another one over here. So we've got a B, D sharp, and F. Over here. Let's give this a listen to. Is that? Oh, that's a D natural. That's why it didn't sound right. So then, keeping with the fragmenting idea, let's take this concept of long, short, long, and repeat it. This said B sharp, so let's do the D. Let's go over here. Long, short, long. Then we'll do, it's an E major. E down to B. Long, short, long. I think that might just do it. That might work. It's not the best. The ending in particular, the second half can be shifted around a bit. But I think it has potential. And with that, we now officially have 5 phrases. All right, so next week, I'm going to re-listen to it with fresh ears. With all of you, we are going to pick the best ones and develop each of those into larger scale pieces. I'm thinking probably sticking to something simple like binary form. Where you establish an idea, maybe repeat it before you establish a new idea before returning to the original idea. That is called rounded binary form. We'll get into more of that during the melody series, but I'm thinking that's probably just going to be a good starting point for developing our thematic ideas. We'll see. But with that, I think we've been officially doing this video for about an hour. I hope this was educational for everybody and enjoyable for everybody. I definitely enjoyed it. I always love getting on and talking with you guys and just hearing your input, hearing your feedback. It's fun for me. It's a highlight of my week, a great way to end my work week. So thank you, all of you. Thank you so very much. I had a lot of fun. I hope you did too. Until next time, if there's any more questions, I'll wait a few more moments to see if there are any other questions come in, do my best to answer them. But if not, I think we'll call it a day. All right, I'll wait a minute because I know that there's a bit of a things. Oh, thank you, Nam Sans. Nam says, that was very cool. Thank you. Yes, I think so too. I love writing music, and anytime any piece of music starts to be developed, I just geek out. I think it's the coolest thing. Whether I'm doing it or someone else is doing it, it's just something I love so much. And it's why I do what I do. But yes, I think at this point it's safe to say everybody's caught up. Everybody's asked the things they've wanted to ask. Have I heard the Undertale music? If so, what's my opinion? Undertale, that sounds so familiar. Okay, let me whip out my phone real quick and look it up. Because I may have, I may not have. Undertale. Alright, no, I am not recognizing this. Maybe I've just heard of it. I have not heard it. I have not listened to the music yet. But I am always looking forward to hearing new music, so I'll check it out. Cancree V. And yeah, if you remember to ask me next week, I'll tell you what my opinion on it was. But with that, I think we will call it a day. I hope you all have a wonderful day. If this is your Friday, I hope you have an incredible weekend. And I will see all of you in a week. Have a good one.